Let's talk about it here. We're going to bring in Jon Najarian, one of the famous Najarian brothers, market expert, co-founder of Market Rebellion. Good to see you, my friend, as always. So I was looking through some of those market numbers. And futures are down a little bit more than what we just showed now. Oil's up a little bit more than it was earlier. I thought it would have been more because I looked at oil at first in like London and it was like 10, 11, 12%. So I don't know. What do you make of how the financial markets are reacting to what is obviously a huge geopolitical story? What's the bet being made?
Well, the bet, of course, is energy, that it will go higher. But as you've said, it has come down substantially. Right now, crude oil is only up 3.5%, the WTI West Texas Intermediate. It'll make a big difference what it is tomorrow morning, more than what it is right now. But the initial reaction was fear, which drove it higher. The same sort of thing is pushing a lot of the defense stocks higher, like Raytheon, RTX, or Lockheed Martin, MT, Northrop Grumman, NOC. Most of those up between 6 and 7%, and they're holding on to those gains versus, like I say, the energy markets and even the VIX, which have pulled back pretty substantially from their highs.
Yeah, the reason I said I thought it would be more, and to your point, it was more, and then it kind of came off, and we'll see where it goes. But this Strait of Hormuz, like you look at it on, I can use the map I was using before. It's on the telestrator here of when I was looking at some of the retaliatory strikes that Iran has already been put in place, because it'll give you a sense of how narrow things are. I mean, this is basically, right, this is the strait that we're talking about, right in this area right there. You see, it's like 20 miles or 21 miles wide at its narrowest point. And it's we think it's basically closed. I mean, a bunch of ships just kind of hanging out there. If that were to stay closed, John, that's a huge, huge deal. So it seems to be the early bet is that it won't, this too shall pass, that we'll get through this. Whether that's right or wrong is we don't know.
Right, very true. And who would it affect most adversely? Airlines, trucking and shipping companies, and I do mean shipping as in ocean freight and so forth. Those would be affected the most because they're the biggest users of crude oil and or refined products like diesel and gasoline. But I think the bets are right now that the fear that took the crude oil contract up, as you said, 11 or 12%, has eased substantially already. Now, I imagine it will continue to fluctuate until and unless this ends very quickly. The president himself said not too long ago, 4 weeks was what he was saying we should prepare for. And given that, I'd say any significant dips, we should probably be buying on crude oil. But certainly the fear mongering has not paid off for those who are long those contracts unless they hit the bid really quick.
Right. Yeah, not yet, at least. For just consumers that are watching, obviously gas prices is one thing they're going to be thinking about, but we've had these conversations ongoing about inflation and whether prices are leveling off and the rate of inflation is not as high. What would you say about consumer prices and just whether this is something that maybe changes the direction that we've been going in?
Yeah, inflation has indeed been coming down. Trueflation is actually down around 0.8%, according to the people that track it that way as true inflation, meaning wages against inflation itself. I would think that I believe it's for every dollar that crude oil goes up, it's about 2.5 cents at the pump. And that doesn't happen immediately, of course, but it will work its way through. And an awful lot of products, from plastics to a lot of the clothes we wear, are basically derivatives of crude oil. So could this push inflation higher? Certainly it could. And again, the longer it lasts, the more impact will be felt by the consumer.
Yeah, it's these markets, they call it like black swan events that come in and surprise you. I don't know if this one was telegraphed, right? A lot of people thought that this would happen at some point. The exact timing obviously was hidden. Maybe the force at the beginning was stronger than some people thought. I don't know. But how do you look at this event versus kind of other events that you try to trade off of or look in markets in terms of its significance?
I was with a former special operator for one of the divisions of the service that most of us talk about all the time.
Yeah.
I won't say it was SEALs or Delta, but we were talking about it in New Mexico just this weekend, as soon as these missiles started flying and so forth. And when we both heard that Khomeini was taken out, he said, okay, so now it's really the heads of the military are the next. And that Israel, with some great intel, is on the trail of a lot of those folks right now. And the more they send missiles into Lebanon or into trying to hit targets in Saudi or whatever, the more it's going to be bad for them, because both sides, Israel and the U.S., will likely ramp up the attacks. And I think it's just a matter of time before we actually do, Connell, see more of those names, the people that are the heads of the military, more than Khomeini himself. He was a figurehead, of course, and did he have power? He did. But there were a lot of the other folks that really don't want to lose power right now and can't afford to, because they'd likely be taken out by their own people. So this is a sticky situation for them right now.
It sure is, and we're all living history as we watch it unfold in real time, markets included. Jon, thank you. Jon Najarian.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.